Number 3 on our list is pre-inspections. And I found this to be particularly helpful over the last 12 months. And I think you've also suggested it to clients as well. Would you like to kind of let me know what you've discovered from doing pre-inspections?
Yeah, it seems to me that lately that the 4-point inspections have been a challenge with some of the deals. I feel like you can do a full inspection and most of the things in the inspection can get overlooked by a potential buyer. But those things that can prevent somebody from getting insurance on a home with the 4 points, those are the things that I think have been important recently. So I'm asking my sellers to hire a home inspector to either do a full home inspection, including the 4-point, or just doing the 4-point inspection so that we can get an understanding of the condition of the electrical, the plumbing, the roof, and the HVAC. Because I don't know about you, but it just seems like recently that if a roof is, only got a couple of years left on it, or there's an electrical problem, those are either items that buyers are walking away from, or we're having challenges finding insurance for. When I've done the full inspections, what I'm finding is, and I'm sure that you agree, most of the same things show up on every single home inspection. And if we can take care of those things before a potential buyer's home inspector finds it, it just shows the buyer, the buyer's agent, everybody involved that the home's been either taken care of or that you've taken the initiative to take care of some of those things that may be just kind of a pain in somebody's side when they buy, having to go underneath the sink and change out non-smooth waste lines or reverse polarity or GFCI outlets or whatever that is. And the 3 sellers that I had that did it, it made for a much cleaner home inspection process on the other side. So we found that buyer, did the home inspection, and when the home inspector was going over the report, he made the comment. He said, that I do a lot of these, and this was a lot cleaner than most of the inspections that I do, because it looks like you have a seller that takes pretty good care of the property. So then it made the whole process a bit, I wouldn't say easier, just smoother, starting out on the right foot rather than, oh gosh, we found all these things that happened in the home inspection, and now I've got a buyer that's concerned, I got a seller that's concerned. Go ahead and do that, and then you kind of get that whole process out of the way before you actually go on to the market. What kind of experiences have you had with this?
Very similar to that. I really started encouraging sellers to do full home inspections on their homes before we hit the market for a couple of reasons. And the biggest one is that I find that in a market that we have with such limited inventory, so many buyers are making an offer that first weekend on the market. And they get caught up in the excitement of a new listing. They see lots of other buyers coming through the home, and they want to be the lucky bidder on that house. And then they do an inspection and then to back out of the deal. So there's a couple of things that I've done recently. One is encouraging sellers to do the pre-inspection and requesting that offers be written on the FAR contract, not the as-is contract. And here's my logic when I sit down and I'm talking with a seller at a listing appointment, that on an as-is with right to inspect contract, a seller can go under contract with a buyer. And in the seller's mind, it's as-is with right to inspect. So I don't have to fix anything, which technically that's what the contract says. But if the buyer does an inspection and they find that rodents have been in the attic and chewed ductwork, rodents have been in the attic and chewed the insulating wrap on the electrical system, or we've got a structural issue with a pier that's settled, or we've got aluminum wiring, or we've got non-smooth wall waste lines, or a GFCI that's gone bad. Buyers aren't just going to go, yep, I still want to buy this house, because it may not pass an inspection, a 4-point inspection. And now we've got to make those repairs. And I've had a couple of sales of older historic homes that had either knob and tube wiring or cloth-wrapped cloth, which you cannot get insurance on. And so if you're in a closing situation where you've got a 30-day window from contract to close, the buyer gets their inspection done by week 1, and we discover we've got a problem. Now we've got a very short window, 1 to 2 weeks, to try and get those things resolved and still hit closing. And it just puts so much stress on the situation that, hey, let's spend $350 and get an inspection. Let's find out what issues we have. Then we can deal with them before we put it on the market. Then when the buyer's inspection happens, it's like, oh, there's no issues. Or we were able to disclose to the buyer, here are all the issues that are wrong with the home that we're not prepared to fix, and your offer should reflect those issues. But at least the home's insurable. And every time that we've done that, we've gone through from contract to close so smoothly, and the buyers just feel at ease. So I had one transaction in Old Northeast, and again, it was a 1920s home, so we were concerned. They'd owned it for about 15 years, and things just go wrong. And insurance conditions change. So I remember when I sold homes originally, you could have knob and tube in a house. That wasn't a problem.
Yeah.
Now you can't have cloth wrap cloth wiring. And some home inspectors write up the insulated plastic wrap over the underneath the cloth as being an issue. And that takes some education. Aluminum wiring can't get insurance on today. So things have changed, and just because the seller has insurance doesn't mean the buyer can get a new insurance policy. So we did this pre-inspection on an Old Northeast home, and the inspector came back and gave us a list of all the things that were defective. There were electrical items, plumbing items, a pier issue. The seller went ahead and got all of the issues fixed other than the pier, because they were 8 weeks out in order to address that. And we were able to give the buyer a copy of the home inspection report that we had done, a copy of all the receipts for the work that we had done, and the buyer waived their inspection period. They gave us a contract with 0 days inspection because they knew everything that was wrong with the home had been either addressed, or they had an inspection report from a good home inspector, which a lot of agents in our area use. And it just made the whole process far less stressful for the seller. And you can go online and read some of the reviews that we have, that sellers who have gone through that just say, I don't know why I didn't do this before. Why doesn't every real estate agent recommend to their client that we should go through this process?
And that's the thing. It's a process from the beginning to the end. And if we can make this process much more smoother for our clients, it's such a better experience for everybody involved. Going back to, when you're talking to potential sellers and buyers about these contracts, do you ever get a seller going, well, I thought this was a seller's market, and why should I have to do anything? Because I'm sure you can agree, when you're in that 10-day inspection period for an as-is contract, or 2 weeks, or whatever it is, that's kind of like this period of, hey, nobody do anything, right? The buyer's going to do their home inspection. The seller's asking you, have they done the inspection? What do they think? Are they going to cancel? So I like that idea, because then you don't have that uncertainty of what's going to happen with this contract.
Mm-hmm.
What's been the comments from sellers and buyers when you propose that, or if you have some resistance with it?
Well, so I'm going to start showing my age now. I started selling real estate in Pinellas County in 1998. And from that point until around 2000 and end of 2007, we all used the FAR bar contract with repair limits set inside. So buyer could do an inspection and discover any issues with the home, and the seller was agreeing up front to make repairs up to a certain amount. And the nice thing about that is you're keeping that deal alive. The seller is in control of the transaction. Where from 2008 to now, we switched over to an as-is with right to inspect contract. Due to the mortgage meltdown, the financial crisis that we had, most of the homes that were sold in 2008, 9, 10, 11 were bank-owned properties, short sales, homes that were in distress. Owners didn't have any money to put into them. Banks certainly weren't willing to spend any money to make repairs. And home prices just continue to decline due to that environment that we're in. And what's happened is, in my opinion, almost real estate agents have gotten lazy, or the new agents that have come in during that time, and now they've been in the business for 12 years, some of them, that don't ever remember the olden days of having a contract with a repair limit, and they're just so used to as-is contracts, because it's less work generally on the agent, because we're not having to recommend a licensed electrician, a plumber, a HVAC contractor, a roof contractor, in order to address these issues. And we just go back and forth and negotiate. So the contract with the repair limits in my mind should really come back, and that should be the dominant contract that we use today. And it's much easier signing that contract, agreeing to make repairs. So if you're selling, like a lot of the homes that you sell are in that $500,000 to $800,000 range, when you're working with a seller on a $500,000 home, that's a $7,500 are being set aside for general repairs, and again $7,500 set aside for wood destroying organisms and work done without a permit. And most sellers are like, "Whoa, hold on a second, I don't want to be on the line for $20,000 of repairs here." But hey, spend $350, get the inspection done, find out what needs to be addressed, disclose it to the buyer. Then you're in control of the situation. Burying your head in the sand and going la 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 doesn't make a buyer feel comfortable when they're about to buy a home. You want them to commit to it and take it all the way to contract to close. And even more so in a situation where we are today with COVID-19,
right?
Buyers are looking for reasons to cancel contracts. I mean,
Sure.
there's a little uncertainty out there, and this is one way of making sure that everybody is moving forward.
So you said something there. Let's go back to that. Disclose. So let's say that, and I agree with this. Like I really do like this idea of getting away from the as-is contract, having some expectations with the sellers as to what they will and won't take care of. Let's say you're working with a seller that maybe they just don't have those reserves to take care of those things. Now, if you've done the home inspection, you can at least disclose that to potential buyers. So when you get that initial offer and it comes in, you know that they know everything that's going on with the home. So there's no surprises. Because I don't know about you, but I run into that sometimes where a seller just simply doesn't have the $3,000 that it may cost to take care of some of these items that we really need to take care of, and we can pass that on to the buyer if we disclose that.
Yeah, disclosure is the key. And I think from a buyer's perspective, when you've got a list, here's a home inspection that you've done, or maybe you just went ahead and did a 4-point and a win net report, or just a 4-point, and here's the list of items that are going to be an issue for us moving forward. The buyer's expectation going into it is not clouded by the prettiness or the excitement of this new listing. They now have a list of the issues wrong with the home. They've got, hopefully by then you've gotten a quote for the electrical, the plumbing, whatever those issues are. You can say, here's a quote from a licensed contractor. Because I find buyers walk into a home and they see something that's not as it was designed to be. For instance, in the garage, I'll often see exposed wiring, and they go, "Oh, that's $3,000 to have an electrician do it." Well, no. If the seller has some money, number one, up front, we could have had a good qualified handyman address that exposed electrical. So now we're not hiring a licensed electrician at $60, $70 an hour. But if that's not possible, and at least you've disclosed to the buyer, this is what it is, this is how much it costs, it's $500, it's $750, they can factor that into their offer, and it can be dealt with within 30 days after closing.
Yeah, I find those are the best experiences when everything's been disclosed, everybody knows what it is, what it's not going into the deal, and you got clear expectations.